Hi everyone, good evening, rather good afternoon, and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is 𝗟𝗲𝗴𝗹 and in today's session we shall be talking about AILET 2020 for, you could call it 23 as well because it's happening this year. So it's preparation. If you could quickly do a tech check with me and let me know if that I'm clearly audible and visible to everyone watching me live. Good evening, good afternoon. I usually take sessions in the evening, so I'm just too used to saying good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. So, CLAT के लिए हम बहुत दिनों से prepare कर रहे हैं simultaneously अब क्योंकि AILET भी within 1 week of CLAT होने वाला है. We're going to be talking about उसकी preparation कैसे करें specifically अगर आप English language section की बात करते हैं तो because थोड़ा सा pattern AILET का different है compared to the English section of CLAT and other law entrance exams. तो क्या different है उसको figure out करेंगे उसकी प्रिपरेशन कैसे करनी है जो चीजें डिफरेंट है उसकी भी बात करेंगे क्लैट के साथ साथ कैसे प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो आप उसकी बात भी करेंगे सो दैट्स द एजेंडा ऑफ द सेशन क्या करेंगे डिस्कस करेंगे कि क्या आएगा इंग्लिश के सेक्शन में क्या डिफरेंट होगा और उसको प्रिपेयर करने की बेस्ट स्ट्रैटेजी डिस्कस करने वाले हैं तो आई एम श्योर आई एम क्लियरली ऑडिबल एंड विजिबल टू एवरीवन वाचिंग मी लाइव अब देखो क्लैट AILET 2023 जो लास्ट ईयर पेपर हुआ था उसकी बात करते हैं उसको डिस्कस करते हैं एक बार डिटेल में सो दैट वी हैव अ फेयर आइडिया ऑफ एग्जैक्टली क्या पैटर्न का पेपर आएगा और किस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे एग्जामिनेशन में ठीक है सो अभी लास्ट 2 years से द पैटर्न ऑफ द पेपर फॉर AILET हैज चेंज्ड पहले मैथमेटिक्स थोड़ी सी आती थी अब उन्होंने उसको एटलीस्ट 10 मार्क्स की तो आती ही थी ग्रेजुअली दे चक्ड इट ऑफ but then there are other changes also that have happened in the last 2 years and that is the overall paper is going to be for 150 marks and English is going to constitute of 50 grand number of questions out of 150 so we have roughly 33.33% of paper asking us English language. They call it language because it is a combination of RC and grammar and vocab usually. And apart from that, we have GK 30 marks and logical reasoning for 70 marks that comprises of logical reasoning and critical reasoning. That is analytical reasoning, the mathematical one, the numeric one, plus critical reasoning, both kind of questions. They come up for 70 marks. So sometimes the last 2 years, if you see, ये जो दो सेक्शंस हैं इन दोनों को भी मर्ज कर दिया गया था इंग्लिश और लॉजिकल रीजनिंग को नाउ लेट्स फिगर आउट ये मर्जिंग कैसे हुआ किस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस आए फॉर नाउ ये 150 मार्क्स का पेपर आपको 90 मिनट्स में करना है एंड यू हैव +1 फॉर एवरी करेक्ट एंड -0.25 फॉर एवरी इनकरेक्ट मैम इज सॉल्विंग GMAT and CAT passages a good option please Akshat if you have already solved the previous year CLAT papers, AILET papers, if you have already solved the sectional tests and mocks that we provide you with in the app, that's when I recommend you can jump onto GMAT and CAT papers. It's a good option. But remember, Akshat, AILET में GMAT और CAT जैसे passages नहीं आते हैं. So stick with me, I'll tell you exactly किस तरीके के पैटर्न के पेपर्स आते हैं AILET में बट रिमेंबर आपकी प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए क्लैट के पेपर्स प्रीवियस ईयर AILET के पेपर्स प्रीवियस ईयर सारे सेक्शनल टेस्ट टॉपिक टेस्ट और मॉक टेस्ट जो ऐप में अवेलेबल हैं वो आपने कर लिए देन यू कैन जंप ऑन टू GMAT and CAT papers good source authentic source genuine answer key go ahead with that so back to it when I say 90 minutes for 150 marks, where this will be reading oriented, this will also be reading oriented. Last year, you have roughly 9 RC in this section. Look at the amount of reading you were supposed to do. So, इसमें अगर आपके पास 90 minutes है, one thing you can be absolutely sure of is you need exponentially higher speed. When I say higher, we compare it to the other law entrance exams. और थोड़ा डीप जाते हैं एग्जामिनेशन के स्ट्रक्चर में जो लास्ट 2 साल में आए थे, और फिर फिगर आउट करते हैं कि ये हाई स्पीड, एक्यूरेसी टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस क्या आते हैं. ठीक है. नाउ द लैंग्वेज सेक्शन वाज इजी. We call it very, very easy. In fact, most of the questions in this section were doable. If you attempted them, if you read them, you would have got the correct answer in one go. But again, the hitch was 90 minutes. क्या 90 minutes में मैं ये सारे questions, जो 50 questions हैं, can I do them? If I can do them, how much time should I give them? Will I be able to get them correct? So difficulty level, with that perspective, was it doable or not? Yes, it was a very doable section English. It was a highly scoring one. Overall as well, if you look at the past year papers of AILET, before the pattern changed to 50 marks, जब वो 30 marks का 25 marks का English का section होता था, it has always been an easy section. The questions are doable. With basic practice, you can answer them. And that, my assumption, is going to be for 2024 as well. If you are familiar with the kind of questions AILET gives us, this section is one where you can score tremendously well. Now, keeping that in mind, let's look at AILET 23 topics that came. अब इसके बारे में ना थोड़ी डिटेल में बात करेंगे हम, because there were questions on blood relation. जैसे if a parent, God forbid, dies, कौन सा child heir बनेगा, कौन से child को क्या possession मिलेगा, if the uncle is alive तो कौन होगा, if there is a brother and a sister who is the issue or the heir or the sibling or the child, उसमें किसको rights मिलेंगे property के. That was one on blood relation. एक contract पे था. Succession भी similar ही था. जैसे क्वीन एलिजाबेथ पे एक पैसेज था, when how did she became the queen, because उनके कोई ब्रदर या सिस्टर नहीं थे और उनके फादर की डेथ के बाद इमीडिएटली उनको थ्रोन दे दिया गया. सो सक्सेशन पे एक पैसेज था, इनहेरिटेंस पे एक पैसेज था. We had a passage on cryptocurrency. We had one on syllogisms, जो एरिस्टोटल के मेथोडोलॉजी पे बेस्ड था. बहुत ही सिंपल लॉजिकल पैसेज. We had one on plastic pollution in ocean. I'm sure this is a topic that you've done so many times in your school that you are absolutely aware of what can come here. Navigation and compass, how a compass was discovered and how you can use a compass and how it changed the entire future of navigation. Very, very easy language. Formula 1 racing. I'm sure you've been reading newspapers. I'm sure you're inclined towards sports a little. What I'm trying to say here is that most of the passages had easy language. Even if you see philosophy, the language of this passage was very easy. The second thing to note here was there were no difficult words. Most of the words in the passage were a cakewalk. So, easy language, easy vocab. The next thing to note here was, that's important, the passage, all these 𝗟𝑐 were full of loads of data. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, बिकॉज AILET के मोस्टली पैसेजेस, आप 23 का पेपर देखें, आप 2022 का पेपर देखें, मोस्ट ऑफ द पैसेजेस हैड लोड्स एंड लोड्स ऑफ डेटा. जैसे अगर आप एलिजाबेथ वाले पैसेज की बात करेंगे, उनके अंकल का नाम क्या था, उनके फादर का नाम क्या था, उनके सिबलिंग्स को थे कि नहीं थे, अगर वो सक्सेशन में नहीं आते तो उनके बच्चे कौन थे, उनका नाम. सो मेनी नंबर्स, सो मेनी नेम्स, सो मच ऑफ डेटा, डिफिकल्ट टू रिकलेक्ट. फादर का नाम भी चेंज होकर कुछ और हो गया था. सिलोजिज्म, लोड्स ऑफ डेटा. ऑल द प्रोपोजिशन, जो भी हम 4-5 प्रोपोजिशंस फॉलो करते हैं सिलोजिज्म में, ऑल द प्रोपोजिशन, ओनली इफ, some, all, none, in सबके cases, all the passages were full of loads of data. So one thing we can be sure of here is that AILET will not trick us with complicated questions. It will trick us with complicated data. But if you've been regular with the classes and practice in English, tell me something. Complicated है या simple है data? डेटा पे क्वेश्चन कितने फ्रीक्वेंटली आते हैं, और अगर आते हैं तो क्या आप पैसेज में वापस जाके अपना आंसर ढूंढ सकते हैं? बिल्कुल ढूंढ सकते हैं। ये स्कूल के पैसेजेस जैसा है कि स्कूल में अगर इन्फ्लेशन पे एक पैसेज है तो इन्फ्लेशन क्या है, इन्फ्लेशन कैसे बढ़ता है, इन्फ्लेशन को हम कैसे कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. सो इफ देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑन what causes inflation and you don't remember that, you can always go back to the passage and reconfirm what causes inflation. It's a data based question, a factual question. So even if there was complicated data in the passages, and there will be complicated data in the passage, one thing you need to know is that do not be disturbed with the sheer amount of data. What you're supposed to focus on is main theme, and main theme is very likely not to be associated with the data given in the passage. अगर मैं इनहेरिटेंस पैसेज की बात करूं तो क्वीन एलिजाबेथ एयर बनी या उनका बेटा एयर बना, सक्सेसर बना, डज नॉट मैटर अ लॉट. क्वीन एलिजाबेथ का नाम अगर कुछ और होता तो भी वो मैटर नहीं करता. अगर वो क्वीन एलिजाबेथ 3 होती या 4 होती वो मैटर नहीं करता. मैटर ये करता कि ये इनहेरिटेंस किसके पास आया और क्यों आया. सो please understand that you shouldn't be overwhelmed with the amount of data that's presented to you in AILET paper. That's the first learning we draw from this paper. There will be loads of information, but we have to learn how to surpass the information and look for inference, look for main theme कि dude ये पूरा पैसेज मुझे कहानी क्या बता रहा है, एलिजाबेथ 4 है या 5 है, ये मेरे इंपॉर्टेंट काम नहीं है. मेरे इंपॉर्टेंट काम है कि ये सक्सेशन जाएगा किसके पास, who is going to be the next heir in the lineage is what I have to know. So keeping that in mind, what are the things we draw, we learn, and things that we have to keep in the mind while we prepare for AILET 2024 along with CLAT 2024. साथ में कैसे प्रिपेयर करेंगे और क्या चीजें डिफरेंट है इस एग्जामिनेशन में, इसको कैसे प्रिपेयर करना है उसकी बात करते हैं. So we have already discussed that this paper comprises of 33.33% of the entire paper. अब इसमें एक चीज ध्यान रखने की है कि ये क्योंकि 3 ही sections आ रहे हैं, and if you look at 2023's paper, I said this section and this section was combined. See how was it combined? There was one passage, it had 5 questions on English. The same passage had 5 questions on CR. Same passage. फिर next passage आया, 5 questions on English, 5 questions on CR. इसका मतलब this happened in last year's paper 23. 22 में ऐसा नहीं हुआ था, अलग अलग sections थे. इसका मतलब ये है कि sections combine होके बड़े sections बन सकते हैं, और CR भी आपका very likely एक reading based section होने वाला है. On that note, you cannot take the English section lightly. Out of 150 marks, अगर आप 50 नंबर के सेक्शन को lightly लेते हैं सोच के कि मैं बाकियों में स्कोर कर लूंगा, you cannot clear the cutoff. It's simple as that. You cannot take this section lightly. So you have to know what comes in the examination and you have to know how to prepare for that in detail. Next thing that we need to know is that there will not be only common RC question types. Now let's understand what is that. What are the common RC question types? What is the main theme of the passage? Okay, next is going to be inference based questions. Third is going to be tone based questions. ठीक है. Fourth is going to be direct and factual based questions. But और ऐसे ही questions बहुत सारे आते हैं CLAT के पेपर में. But since we're talking about AILET, this is not the only type of question this section will give you in AILET. You will get other types of questions. What are the other types of questions? AILET has been really fond of vocab. It has been really fond of grammar. That means vocab और grammar भर के बहुत सारी आ सकती है. Good news, ये scoring topics हैं. Another good news, क्योंकि सिर्फ 90 मिनट्स है आपके पास, आप ये टाइप के क्वेश्चंस यू कैन डू इट इन अ जिफी. It would barely take you seconds to know the answer. That means this paper is doable because of the amount of vocab and grammar questions they might give you. It will not have only the common question types, it will have vocab and grammar, and not direct vocab. It will have analogy based questions, idiom based questions, जो पैसेज से पिक्ड अप है, और आपको उसमें थोड़ी सी टिंज ऑफ लॉजिकल रीजनिंग मिला के वो दे देंगे, and you'll be asked to answer them. So please get your basic fundamental of grammar clear. Basic fundamental of grammar आप कैसे clear करेंगे? Refer to Wren and Martin. Apart from that, KD sir ने last full 1 month एक सीरीज ली थी बेसिक्स ऑफ ग्रामर क्लियर करने की. मेक श्योर आप वो पूरी सीरीज रिविजिट कर लो. ग्रामर करने में, क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी स्कूल में वो चीज कर चुके हो, यू वुड बेयरली टेक 1 मंथ. आपके पास अभी भी 3-4 महीने बचे हैं, राइट? So do basic grammar, basic fundamental of subject verb agreement, tenses, pronouns, सारे parts of speech for that matter of fact, prepositions. Get your fundamental of basic grammar clear. Grammar 1 महीने में हो जाएगा. रिविजन करना है आपको सिर्फ, और ग्रामर क्वेश्चंस आएंगे एग्जामिनेशन में, and they are highly doable. It would take less amount of time and will ascertain a sure shot score for you. For vocabulary, you can always refer to my favorite book, What Power Made Easy. You can solve this book in a month. Some people think it might take some more time क्योंकि वो बहुत मोटी सी बुक है. नहीं, I did it in a month while I was a student. आप 1 महीने में, 2 महीने में कर दो. Basic vocabulary जो questions आते हैं, this is a highly recommended book. Apart from that, there are plenty of topic tests on our app that you can refer to. You can unlock the 3 days free trial to access all the topic tests for free. So make sure you register for the 3 days free trial. Okay? So ये है मेरा suggestion about grammar and vocabulary, क्योंकि ये आएगी एग्जाम में, इसलिए इसके लिए certainly आपको prepare करना चाहिए. अच्छा, by the way, we have a scholarship test happening on our app. That's on 6th of August, 11 a.m. That's going to be Sunday, I believe. Yes, it's going to be Sunday. Don't miss out on that. You can win thousands of scholarship and then you can enroll yourself for our program. Don't be late because time आपके पास बहुत कम बचा है. CLAT AILET दिसंबर में है. जल्दी कीजिए, लेट मत कीजिए. बात करते हैं furthermore ग्रामर और वोकैबुलरी की. एक सैंपल क्वेश्चन मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ. देखो, ये AILET 2023 का क्वेश्चन है. एक बार सॉल्व करके देखो. ये RC में आया था. It was based on RC. बट देखिए, थोड़ी सी वोकैबुलरी, थोड़ी सी लॉजिकल रीजनिंग मिक्स करके उन्होंने हमको ऐसा क्वेश्चन दे दिया. अगर आप वर्ड पावर मेड इजी सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, आप ये क्वेश्चन इजीली आंसर कर सकते हैं. इफ यू नॉट सॉल्विंग वर्ड पावर मेड इजी, प्लीज वर्क ऑन योर एटिमोलॉजी. एटिमोलॉजी क्या होता है? रूट वर्ड्स. जैसे लॉजिस्ट, सो एन IST इज यूज्ड फॉर अ पर्सन. कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट और डॉक्टर्स में क्या रिलेशनशिप है? Cardiologist is the type of doctor. Cardiologist is the type of doctor. Is victim a type of lotteries? No. Is victim a type of malware? No. Is scam a type of social media? No. But are hackers types of criminals? Oh yes, they are. And we know our correct answer as D. इतने easy questions, इतने direct questions from RC, और कितने seconds लगे हमको इसको आंसर करने में? 10 seconds. On the contrary, अगर आपको RC के questions आंसर करने पड़ेंगे, you might take 1 minute per question, including reading the passage. You save a lot of time doing vocabulary and grammar. Please make sure you work on them thoroughly. ये आपको simultaneously CLAT based RC के grammar और vocab questions के लिए prepare करेगा. And then there are so many other exams like MHCT where grammar and vocab will come. You can simultaneously prepare for them. So work on vocabulary and grammar, my highly recommended suggestion. Then most of the passages are data oriented. I have discussed this a little bit कि ये data से बहुत सारे लोग overwhelmed हो जाते हैं कि मैम इतनी सारी चीजें हैं, मैं कंफ्यूज हो गई हूँ, ये बोलना क्या चाह रहा है. समझो, data is meant for skimming. Skimming क्या होती है? मैंने क्लासेस में डिटेल में डिस्कस किया है जी. So if you come to my classes, you would know कि आपको ऑथर के आइडिया पे फोकस करना है, उस डेटा पे नहीं. डेटा को सिर्फ ऊपर ऊपर से देख के आगे बढ़ो. यू हैव टू फिगर आउट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज द ऑथर ट्राइंग टू portray through the usage of that data. So learn how to skim through the data, not remember it. Because remembering is what is going to help you. अगर डेटा बेस्ड एक क्वेश्चन आ गया एग्जाम में तो करना क्या है, पैसेज में वापस जाना है, रिकन्फर्म करना है कि वो एलिजाबेथ 4 थी या 3 थी या 5 थी और उसको मार्क करना है. सिंपल. इफ मोस्ट ऑफ द पैसेजेस आर डेटा ओरिएंटेड, यहां से एक कंक्लूजन और ड्रॉ होता है, वो ये होता है कि आपको डेटा बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस बहुत सारे मिलेंगे. एक बार ये एलिजाबेथ वाला पैराग्राफ जो 2023 में आया था, skim through it. Hi Namra, I'll have a sip of water. I have an ulcer in my mouth, so it's difficult for me to talk, and that's why the class yesterday was rescheduled. एक बार ये पैराग्राफ पढ़ो. पैराग्राफ पढ़ के मुझे बताओ कि do you see loads of data here? That's a typical AILT type passage. Read this quickly, everyone. अब मार्गरेट की जगह मेरी होती, क्या फर्क पड़ता. 1936 की जगह 1937 में, if he had died, did not matter. But yes, we have to draw a chart here. So, grandfather, उसके बाद एडवर्ड के बाद कौन? Make an entire lineage of it. And then see, if grandfather dies, किसको throne मिलेगा? If Edward dies or gives up on his throne, किसको throne मिलेगा? You just have to make a simple graph. Oh, you have got it. But you know, there are people who haven't seen them and then they are confused. देखो, इसमें this does not matter what were their names, which year they had died, but what matters is how the succession is passed through the heir or lineage. अगर आपको ये succession की line भी समझ में आ गई, आप most of the questions answer कर सकते हो. While I was solving this passage in my classes, some students asked me, "Ma'am, who is heir presumptive?" आप sentence पढ़ के निकाल सकते हो इसका मतलब. Yes or no? Simple. एलिजाबेथ के ब्रदर्स नहीं थे तो वो हेयर प्रिजम्पटिव हो गई. इसका मतलब ब्रदर्स के एब्सेंस पे हमेशा हेयर प्रिजम्पटिव होते हैं. Simple. That's the conclusion you draw. So even if you don't know what does the word presumptive mean here, you know in the absence of brothers that happens. और आगे heir accession, बहुत सारी चीजें और डिस्कस थी. ठीक है, तो अल्टीमेटली, हाँ नामरा, yes, you have to read, but remember, don't be overwhelmed with the data. और अगर क्वेश्चंस में, अगर पैसेज में डेटा है बहुत सारा, तो डेटा बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस भी बहुत होंगे. Inference based questions have been few, data based questions have been a lot, and that's why we term this English section in AILET as easy. अब सारी क्वेश्चन कहानी इस पे आ जाती है कि मैम मेरे पास 90 मिनट्स हैं. ठीक है, 90 मिनट्स में आई एम सपोज टू सॉल्व 150 क्वेश्चंस, जिसमें से 50 क्वेश्चंस इंग्लिश के हैं. पेपर इज इजी, देयर आर फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस that I can always go back and reconfirm. But how do I do them quickly? You do them quickly by following the things that I'm going to suggest right now. 1, learn to skim. This paper is a test of your speed. That's written in the next slide right here. This speed is the key. This paper is a test of your speed. आपको बहुत quick होना है. You cannot stumble upon one section where did I say something else, Gauri? I might be mistaken, I'm sorry. So speed is the key. There are going to be loads of reading happening. There's going to be a lot of questions that you have to answer. Speed कैसे बढ़ाना है? If there are 9 RC, you have to prefer those RCs on the topics that you are comfortable with. For example, Gauri had already seen the series. She knows the entire hierarchy of this royal family. She certainly should have chosen this passage. If you are somebody who knows about oceans and the plastic waste in oceans, choose that RC over everything else. Start with that RC. So Out of the 9 RC, start with the ones that you're most comfortable with and move to the ones that you're least comfortable with. I recommend out of the 90 minutes, you give 35 minutes to the English section. In the 35 minutes, if you're given 9 RC, choose and start with the ones you're most comfortable with, gradually moving on to the least comfortable ones. So that in 35 minutes, if you're supposed to leave something, you leave something that you're uncomfortable with. Comfortable वाला बहुत सारे लोग क्या करते हैं, पेपर स्टार्ट करते हैं, जो पहला आरसी वहां से स्टार्ट करते हैं सॉल्व करना. आप बहुत बड़ी गलती करते हो. या तो तुम एक देखो, एक ऐसे पर्सन हो जो वेटरन हो, जो बहुत साल से पढ़ा रहा है और एक भी पैसेज नहीं छोड़ के आएगा और बहुत साल से प्रिपेयर कर रहा है, सारे क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट करके आएगा, then you can start with whatever comes in front of you. But since you are not one of them, start with passages that you're comfortable with, gradually move on to the difficult ones, so that in 35 minutes, if you're not able to solve all of them, leave one RC that you were uncomfortable with. But all the RCs in 35 minutes are doable with the following techniques. Learn to skim. Once you learn how to skim, pick up questions that are factual first, because you can certainly be sure of their answers without an ounce of doubt. वहां कोई नेगेटिव नहीं होगा. पैसेज में जाएंगे, रिकन्फर्म करेंगे आंसर. फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस बहुत सारे हैं. पिक अप ग्रामर and vocab based questions. At least out of 50-30 questions इस पूरे सेक्शन से आएंगे, जो फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चंस होंगे, ग्रामर बेस्ड होंगे और vocab बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस होंगे. 30 क्वेश्चंस आप इजीली कर सकते हो 50 में से, अगर आप ये टेक्निक फॉलो करते हो तो. Absolutely, it is a dearth of time. So choose your passages very carefully. You might have to leave a few questions. It's okay. Don't fall in love with a section if you think you're good with it. If you're good with logical reasoning, ठीक है. Don't fall in love with it. Legal reasoning bare minimum आई है last year. Last year भी. So don't fall in love with this section. Carefully strategy follow करो. स्पीड बढ़ाओ अपनी रीडिंग की, कॉम्प्रिहेंशन की, स्किमिंग की. ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है आपकी AILET के पेपर में, बिकॉज AILET आपको और भी कम टाइम देता है और भी ज्यादा रीडिंग देता है एज कंपेयर टू CLAT. सो मेक श्योर योर स्पीड इज टॉप नॉच. 35 मिनट्स में पूरा पेपर करना है. दिस इज माई सजेशन अबाउट AILET पेपर. स्टिक टू दिस टाइम. The lesser, the merrier, but I'm very sure lesser is not possible. So if you think you're very good with English, you can increase 2-3 minutes here. But since you have to solve logical reasoning as well, don't increase it beyond 40 minutes. That's the maximum I suggest here. So next is be ready for surprises. This is something I will want to talk about. AILET does that a lot. जैसे last year उन्होंने क्या किया, 5 क्वेश्चन इंग्लिश का सेम पैसेज पे, 5 क्वेश्चन क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के. स्विच ऑन इंग्लिश, स्विच ऑफ इंग्लिश, क्रिटिकल पे आओ. खट 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 खट, सेक्शन चेंज. 5 क्वेश्चन आ रहे, फिर 5 क्वेश्चन मिक्स हो रहे हैं. देयर वाज नो बाइफर्केशन बिटवीन इंग्लिश एंड CR. दे वर मिक्स, दे वर जम्बल्ड अप. बहुत सारे लोग ओवरवेल्म हो गए थे उस चीज से. अगर आप मेंटली रेडी रहोगे सरप्राइजेस के लिए, आप कभी भी ओवरवेल्म नहीं होगे. If you are overwhelmed, all the effort that you've put in the last few months will go down the drain. Aya surprise, give it 10 seconds, take a deep breath, have a sip of water and move on. It shouldn't ruin your preparation that you've put in. So mentally be ready. कोई भी तरीके का पैसेज आ सकता है, किसी भी टॉपिक पे आ सकता है, किसी भी पैटर्न पे आ सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 2022 में देयर वाज अ पैसेज जहां एक ग्रिड दिया हुआ था. यहां एक सेट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन थी, यहां थी, यहां थी. 3 अलग अलग तरीके की बुक्स को कंपेयर किया गया था और इस ग्रिड से आपको क्वेश्चंस मिले थे. कोई बात नहीं, आरती की तरह पढ़ेंगे. डेटा ही तो है, और डेटाबेस पैसेजेस हमको बहुत मिलते हैं AILET में. विल डील विद इट. सेक्शंस मिक्स कर दिए, विल डील विद इट. ग्रामर ज्यादा आ गया, मैंने प्रैक्टिस करी, आई विल डील विद इट, आई विल नॉट बी ओवरवेल्म. तैयारी ज्यादा मेन थीम की करी थी, कोई बात नहीं, काम आया तो आई विल डील विद इट. गिव योरसेल्फ 10 सेकेंड्स, मेक अ स्ट्रेटजी कि चलो ये चेंज आया है पेपर में, माय स्ट्रेटजीज, दिस इज हाउ आई एम गोइंग टू डील विद इट. दैट्स ऑल. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी ओवरवेल्म्ड, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी नर्वस. I will bang on, crack this examination with my full potential. So be ready for surprises is one suggestion I'll highly promote. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Do we mark the sections first, ma'am? So you don't have to do that, Namra. Because, for example, since you've been preparing for all the sections, you'll be decently fine with almost every section. And every type of question has a different way of dealing with it. So even if they mix up sections, read the question and deal with it according to what it asks you. वो किस सेक्शन में फॉल करता है वो आपका कंसर्न नहीं है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक पैसेज में एक क्वेश्चन अगर इंग्लिश का आके नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन सीआर का आ गया, सीआर को बिलोंग करता है इंग्लिश को, मुझे वो बाइफर्केशन करने की नीड नहीं है. मुझे ये देखना है मुझे उस क्वेश्चन को कैसे अप्रोच करना है. So figure out a way of approaching that question according to what it demands out of you. Bifurcation will make you waste some time. But if you're utterly confused between sections, then I will recommend you bifurcate them. So, yes, Nivedita, you have to make a strategy, a new strategy according to the surprise AILT brings up to you then and there. Take 10 seconds. These 10 seconds will save you 10 minutes, maybe 20, maybe the entire paper. Give yourself 10 seconds. Think straight. कैसे deal करना है? Have a sip of water and then with your full force, go ahead, solve the entire paper. AILET for some people is a difficult paper to crack. It's only a mental block. I think the level of the paper is easier than CLAT is. The questions are more doable than CLAT gives us, more direct than CLAT-based questions. So it is a paper that's easier than CLAT is, a certainly doable one. I hope the suggestions that I brought for you for AILET and its preparation for English section makes sense. I'll have one more section next week on AILET and how to deal with difficult questions and how to make a strategy then and there when you get surprises. Make sure you attend that session. We also have a 3-day free trial going on our app. So if you wish to attend our classes and see how we teach, what are the offerings that we have in the app, enroll yourself for the 3-day free trial. The link of it is there under my video in the description box. We also have launched our test series. So, good attempts according to me in the AILET section. Out of 50 questions, I think marking a 40 will land you up in a safe zone. Marking a 40 with good 80% accuracy will land you up in a safe zone. Okay, because GK is a very scoring section here. So is logical reasoning with tons and tons of direct questions coming. So 40 is a good number of attempts here. But again, it depends on the difficulty level of the paper, which will be declared only after the actual paper happens. We've launched a test series as well. So you can buy the test series. That's the number of our counselors. You can call them if you have any doubts. We have 25 CLAT-based mocks, 15 AILT-based mocks, and 15 other law entrance test-based mocks like MHCT, JMI, and other exams. And we have launched a new batch for CLAT 2024 aspirants. You can see us in the classes very soon. The number of our counselors there in the bottom bar. Make sure you call them right then and there. Enroll yourself for a 3-day free trial as well. 25 aspirants, we have a new course for you as well. So you can see us in the classes very soon. You have 1.5 years to go. Early starter advantage मिलेगा. जल्दी start करोगे, beneficial रहेगा आपके लिए. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't leave the session without hitting the like button. You can comment under the video if you have any questions about your preparative strategy of AILET. I shall reply to each one individually. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play as well. That's going to be all for today, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button and leave the session and comment under the video. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very good day. See you in the classes at 7. God bless you.